Hi, I'm Jessica Ardeel. Thank you for joining us at the Professional Healers Institute. This is How to Crack the Code of Your Body's Intelligence. And today's featured health experts, Steve and Joyce Britton, are with us from the Muscle Testing Academy. I'm so happy to have found you both. Thank you for taking the time out, and welcome.
Thank you.
Brady Blenchon here. So I just want to give you the mic, and if you wouldn't mind rewinding time for us a little bit and sharing how you were first introduced to muscle testing and what about it worked for you.
Okay, 1990. Let's take it back that far. I was 5 years out of grad school. Joyce was 9 years out of grad school. She has a degree, a master's in counseling and psychology. I have a MSW and an MS in marriage and family therapy, of which we don't currently work under that umbrella because we do what we do. It's very different. Okay. Back then I was practicing, and 1990, my dad was 70 years old, really healthy. And then one day he was gone. And, it blew me out of the water emotionally. I was a young 36, and about 2 weeks after his death, my back really locked up, blew up. I couldn't walk. And so I had to be carried into the car, carried down to the chiropractor. He got me standing, but the pain right between the shoulder blades wouldn't go away. And I'd heard about this guy who did this muscle testing thing. We're from Mesa, Arizona then, and he was in St. George, Utah. And to me, it was just this is 29 years ago. It was like fringy, especially because I came from this professional history. But I was in so much pain, it's like, bring me the fringe, man. Let's go. So we packed up the kids on a Saturday morning, went real early, drove up to St. George, Utah, and met with this guy who had been a chiropractor and turned to muscle testing. Because he says, why should I adjust their back next day they're out if they don't address the issues inside, the stressors? So he turned to muscle testing. He put me on the table for an hour and a half. When I was done, the pain in my back was so gone. It was like I'd never felt so clean and clear in my life. And I've been in social services agency work for 15 years by then. It's like I'd done lots of therapies with people. I'd done lots of therapies on me. I'd never had anything work like that. I said, if you ever teach this, I want to go. So a year later, he offered us a class, and Joyce and I both attended and got trained. So that's how we ran into it.
And that was, once I saw that, I'm like, yeah, we got to learn more about this.
Right, exactly. It's that profound personal experience that you have that's like, okay, how did that just work?
Yeah. He did a session with me too, and we both walked away going, whoa, I feel like I'm walking on air or something. I feel so good,
Yeah. So when you're teaching it now with students, are there common questions that come up, or what have been your experiences with introducing it to people?
Joyce, you want to go first?
Well, yeah, I think some of the times the first thing when you introduce it to people, some of them are kind of like, this is weird, or especially when you muscle test them and what they think is truth and their arm goes weak, they're like, what the heck is happening here, And so, but when they get great results from just one session, they're hooked.
So maybe you've heard of David Hawkins, certainly. He said, muscle test, he said, the muscles of your body go instantly weak in the absence of truth. So if you lie, your muscles go weak. Your muscles stay strong in the presence of truth or that which promotes life. So our students, mostly the question is, they've experienced it, it works. The question is, can I do it? Can it work for me? Can I facilitate this and get results from people? I know you've done a lot. I mean, I've done 42,000 plus sessions in the last 29 years. So, it's what you do, but for them, it's like, so that's their big concern. And, in 2 days, the first day we teach them about forgiveness, because that's the primary releasing tool. So when they're done, it's like they are experts on forgiveness. They can take any situation, craft a forgiveness statement, and get really great results. And sometimes I go no, why do we teach the muscle testing if they're so good at forgiving? And then the end of the first day and the second day, we integrate the muscle testing. And it's that's why we do it. Because muscle testing it gives you access to the shadow, to the blind spots, to the things you don't know that you don't know, and you don't even know what you don't know. So amazing to watch these people in 2 days pick up the simple skill of getting a good muscle test response, learning how to create a forgiveness for people, identify some of the primary challenges, and then they walk away and they go, this really works and I can do it. Because it's really simple. It's just simple. It's not complex. So that's their question. It's like, well, any of us, like, can I do this? Can this work for me? You know? Yeah, I can. It does.
And so do you muscle test with each other when you were starting to learn and practice?
Oh yeah. You know, we kind of plug people with each other. During our class, we have a muscle test with each other. Joyce and I, right out of the gates, man, we started muscle testing each other, and like, at that point, we had too many agendas. It's really tough to muscle test with your spouse unless you're like really clear. The one thing we teach people when we train them is like the little mantra: there's nothing wrong here. Nothing needs to be fixed. Nowhere to go. No place to get to. Let's just see what happens and own all your agendas. So if you work with a spouse, which is tough, then take all your agendas. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sit them down and just use the tool. So yeah, it's challenged as significant others to like muscle test with each other. But it can do. Joyce and I do that with each other all the time now. It's like, and even, which is different than therapy. Because therapy, you can't do therapy with each other. But muscle testing, you're just testing the person against themselves, not against me. It's like, here's the question, is that true or not true? And so even when things aren't working so well, we can pretty much muscle test each other.
Yeah, when we first learned muscle testing, and we started, when we first got out of college, because we both came from the helping profession, and stuff we learned, I mean, he'd say something to me and I'd say, don't use that on me. I know what you're doing, And so then when we learned muscle testing, we started doing that with each other. We realized we just had too much agenda for each other. So we put it on the back burner and didn't do it with each other for a long time. But now for probably the last, I'd say, 10 years, maybe?
Yeah, since 2008.
Now we work with each other, muscle test each other at least once or twice a week.
And I'm curious just to ask, do you think that part of the learning curve and experiences you went through personally and getting clear within yourselves allowed that space for you to now come back together and really have that clarity in accessing the body's intelligence without having all of the agendas like you said? Well,
we've grown up a lot,
Yeah.
So in growing up a lot, you mature. I think, practice makes everything work. If you play a musical instrument or an athlete or a sport or something, the more you practice, the more you get clear about it. So yeah, I went through a phase about 2008 where I really, really needed help. The person who had always been helping me was no longer available. And Joyce said, well, would you like me to muscle test you? Because we hadn't done it for a while. I said, yeah, let's do that. And then we were just back in the saddle and it worked out. So, we'd grown up a little bit with it.
Yeah.
So.
Especially if I'm in a pain spot and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I might be mad at you, but I realize it's not you. So let's just work this out so I can get through this. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Joyce, what's your favorite part about muscle testing?
I would say my favorite part is literally watching people transform even after one session. Like, brings me to tears even. Just watching people have huge, I don't know if you would tell a story at this moment, but I had the most remarkable experience last week that literally I came home and just cried. I thought, that was so cool. So cool.
Tell your story.
Well, do you want me to tell a story right now, Jessica? But what happened is a woman came to one of our introduction evenings, and she was a quadriplegic from a car accident back in 1993. And but she did have use of her fingers were curled, but she had use of her arms like this. She could put her arm like this, and she could actually hold strength, strong or weak. So I actually muscle tested her like this, and she had. She said, I can't feel from here down, but she said, my head is filled with demons and it never shuts up and I can't sleep at night. And so I muscle tested her, and we muscle tested through a lot of the stuff around the car accident and a lot of the issues that she had, angry at God, angry at herself, angry at her sister who was driving, angry at, all the pieces of the pie. We just had her say forgiveness is for everything and released all of that. And when we were done, I said, how are you doing? She goes, I feel amazing. Amazing. She said, my head is quiet. So then she came in and did one more session with me last week around some other stuff. And I saw her last night and she said, Joyce, I'm sleeping through the night. And she said, I feel amazing. That is what I love. like it really, I could cry right now. It brings tears to my eyes watching people lives transform after all those years, you know, over just one session.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
I'm so glad you shared that story, Joyce, too. And what comes to mind in hearing that is muscle testing gives us almost a place to go within ourselves for that healing that we can't otherwise travel to, right? And so I really appreciate you sharing that story. Steve, do you have any stories come to mind that you want to share?
Yes, Mom.
Sure. Lots and lots of stories. You know, recently I had a guy come to me. He's an attorney. He says, I work for a firm. I want to go out on my own, but I'm terrified. I'm so scared to go out on my own, you know? So we did a session or two and address all his fears and terrors about going out on his own. He left the firm, started his own practice, okay? It started getting really, really good. People were coming. Then his fear was like, what if all my clients go away? You know, that's like, we always do this front side, back side thing. You know, I'm afraid my clients are going away. I need them to go. I'll go away to prove that I can't do this. So we let go through the forgiveness and the releasings we do, let go of all those fears. His practice grew. He said, now I'm working too many hours. I don't know what to do. I said, you got to hire somebody. So he hired his first person this last week, his first client. I mean, his first employee he hired. You know, so it's just a tool that whatever comes up inside of you you don't know about, you can tap into that with a muscle testing, that unconscious, whatever you want to call it, the shadow. Those things can be released, and then people are like set free from their own personal prisons. You know, they're liberated. They're like, and just to watch them like step out and like really take on life. It's like, you know, one of your questions is, what's the number one thing you want people to know about muscle testing? Is as you learn this tool, you get to make a difference in the lives of other people. You get to be a contribution. Stuff that they could never break before, like they now have freedom and they can have joy. And like, we have lots of fun doing this thing because as you poke around and down the unconscious, it's just the silliest things that give us who we're being, you know? And we name those, we laugh about them. You know, one woman recently, she wanted to like do a seminar. She goes like, we're committed, no more debt, no more credit card debt. I go, okay, so is that fear-based commitment or is that like light and truth? And it was like fear-based. So I asked her, so are you committed to financial freedom or you just want to like be out of debt? I want to be out of debt. I'm a warrior for being out of debt. And he says, okay. So we muscle tested the parts of her that need to be out of debt. And we talk about parts. We have lots of parts because our minds go different places, emotions, we have all these different parts. The parts of her that needed to get out of debt, or their job was to get her out of debt. What do they need to stay employed inside of her? They need debt so they can keep on trying to get out of debt. So those parts get you right to the edge of out of debt, and then they'll find something, boom, $10,000 back in debt. So we let go of those parts, which you can, that she had no idea that was there. We let those go, and she's like going, okay, I can take this seminar. It'll pay me back. We can do this. I'm free to now to like do what's good in my behalf. So just simple things like freedom around the whole concept of money or debt is a huge contribution for people. So it's just fun to watch people grow and just brighten up and find freedom. And it's such a simple tool. It really is. We use a partnering method where we put their arm up and we push on it, put them in a chair, lean them back, put their arm up. Because I think as human beings, we really like to participate in the things we do. We want to be participants, not bystanders. So when you put them in a chair and you push on their arm, they feel it. And all their inside parts are like paying attention. Like, is this true or is this not true? You know, and then let go of what's not true and things move on. So it's fun. It's simple. We laugh a lot. We cry a lot. Okay. But it's very much alive.
And I love that story you shared about the lawyer too, because it speaks to that it's not going to be a single conclusion, right? Life is going to keep going on. There's going to be different things that we're up against and facing, processing and reprocessing. And oftentimes we'll hear, I thought I dealt with that years ago. And it's coming up in a new way to deal with it. So you also give people a lot of different ways to reach out. Share with us how we can connect with you and all of the ways you're offering learning about muscle testing.
We are at muscletestingacademy.com. Okay, so muscletestingacademy@gmail.com is our email right now. And so we have the website. Our phone numbers, you know, mine is 602-284-8439. I'll answer any phone call. Let's have a conversation. This is great stuff to have a chat about. I talk to anybody. And Joyce's phone number is 480-233-2119. So contact us on our website, on our phone numbers. Hey, you know what I like about you? It's like, oh, you're just an everyday common person who has a really great interest, who wants to promote this. It's like, you have a really great energy that way. It's like, there's a lot of people out here like, just show me the way, give me a tool. And anybody can learn this tool, anybody.
Well,
now, we come from the background we had, but, you know, my good friend I was business roommates with for 20, we had practice together, okay? His was always like, all I ever wanted, we worked in agency work together. He said, all I ever wanted was to have my own private practice. Now I said, all I ever wanted was my own sanity, and I ended up with a private practice. Because, you know, as we do this work, we get more sane. This muscle testing tool will bring your personal spiritual gifts right to the surface. You think you don't have any, you plug in, start doing this, you're going to find all kinds of things you had no idea are rolling around inside of you that are of light and truth. Extraordinary way to tap into your true self.
And thank you for giving people the resources to do that. Joyce, what's on your mind? What did you want to say?
I just want to make sure that, though, I don't know who's listening to this or who's out there, but we typically charge $200 a session. But for people who want to say, hey, I listened to Jessica's program, we would offer a session for $99 for first time. And that's something we offer at one of our introductions. And so we'd like to offer that. If anybody's interested, just reach out to us and they can schedule. We could do, like I say, sessions over Zoom or in person if people are in Arizona, or if people want to come in from out of town, they can come see us then too. So
that's so generous of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Where do you live, Jessica? Where are you?
I am out of Wisconsin, the cheese state right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, you are probably in a lot nicer weather than we're in.
Well, it's about 76 and sunny, but you know, I've driven through Arizona and across country, and I just love the mountains. I love the presence out there. It's worth the trip. You know, guys, go out there and see Joyce and Steve in person. You know, when I get out there next, I'll make my stop myself.
But like I say, we can do this over Skype or Zoom sessions. We use this for muscle testing, and you still get great results. So.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to encourage somebody who's maybe on the fence? And, you know, I think all of us, everyone we've spoken to is a bit of a skeptic, but the experience overrides all of that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
For me, I was challenged by somebody who asked me to teach the muscle testing class back before we started. And he said, Steve, he says, I want to make a difference in the life of others. I want to be a contribution, and I want that tool. So if like, you would like to make a difference, you want to be a contribution to people's lives, this can be done by anybody who wants it. So my invitation is, are you inspired to reach out to be a contribution? Then, hey, step past your fears, concerns, limitations, and it's available. It's great. It's extraordinary stuff. Bring light into your life.
We have people, all walks of life, who've taken our class. You know, moms of 5 and 6 kids, because they just wanted to take it. And they're out there now working, making money doing it. You know? And that was not their intent when they took it. They just took it because they wanted to learn it. You know?
I think that's one of the best things my mother did, was coming home from the Touch for Health levels that teach applied kinesiology, muscle testing, and learning about the organs and systems of the body growing up. It makes such a difference. So I appreciate all of the different ways that you offered different people this tool. And before we go, is there anything else you want to share?
I got another quick little story. You know, this guy, I got a phone call from a detective one day, say, hey, I got this guy, he needs some help. And my mom said, you are like personal work on steroids. So this guy he just got out of prison. He spent 25 of his 50 years in prison. Okay. And he came to one of our introductions, and I did a couple sessions with him. And then he took our class, and he's like a premier muscle tester now. He's like transformed. He went from like home, what do they call it, where they're like locked into their home, they can't get out, to like he's totally off probation now. He's like out there, and he'll say all that came from doing the muscle testing. So we cleared up so much of my history.
He's running the anger management groups now. Instead of being a member of it, they now have to be part of them.
Yeah. So, you know, it's for anybody and everybody, for the lawyers, for the people looking to transform their lives in amazing ways. So
yeah, we all have access to this energy potential that muscle testing and the different ways of muscle testing allow us to do. Thank you for sharing your stories and experiences.
Thanks for reaching out, Jessica.
Oh yeah, I just love connecting with you, and I know we could talk forever. But I want to respect your time, and I really appreciate you. I know you just wrapped up teaching, and you're always putting on seminars and courses for people. So keep doing all that you're doing. It's awesome. And thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you. And we are in Arizona, in Gilbert, Arizona. So, so thank you for reaching out. It's been a privilege. Look forward to talking to you later.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.